Hi guys, and welcome to my review for Deer Journey, a nature-based walking simulator following the journey of a fawn as it survives the cruel rule of nature. Rejected for its unusual looks, we help the fawn navigate various landscapes and watch as the fawn becomes a deer and finds its own footing in life. The experience is only 45 minutes long, but that's not necessarily unusual for a walking simulator. The experience is a little different to what I would normally expect from a game of this genre, especially one which is nature-based. The game allowed me more freedom than I was anticipating, and I was able to explore and roam a little within the set boundaries. Environments look quite good, with lots of foliage, and you'll spend most of your time in a forest setting. There were some decent weather effects in some sections, and some beautiful vistas, where you could sit down and admire the view or walk around and integrate with your herd. The fawn moved a little oddly, and it took me a while to get familiar with that style. There were recognisable traits like the way the fawn darted from side to side, but I wasn't convinced of its running style. Once you get used to it though, it doesn't really bother you. Initially there seemed to be a brief tutorial directing you towards eating rotten berries or healthy berries, and that made me feel that there was going to be some sort of survival elements in the game. But bizarrely I never again found any berries, so I was a little perplexed by that scene. You can die, however. I was killed by stags and drowned on numerous occasions, so there are dangers around for you to avoid or navigate, but if you do die you just reform close to the spot you perished without any penalty. The story isn't an obvious one, and I only realised why I was being attacked by stags when I read the story premise after the game. At the time I was trying to integrate with a herd but kept getting butted, and that made me feel frustrated. This went on for so long that it started to become a bit comical, being chased for miles, when I was only trying to be friendly. In hindsight, I probably hung around that section for far too long, as I was unsure what to do, and this made it feel a little bizarre and comical. It didn't occur to me that the fawn was ostracised for its looks. I would have expected this moment of dismissal to have been more emotional than it was. Perhaps a little bit of narration or some brief text would have been useful in these kinds of scenes, just to give the player some context or indication of why things are occurring. This goes for later in the game too, as although it looked and sounded excellent in parts, I am sure some verbal or written storytelling would have elevated these pivotal points. The soundtrack drives most of the emotion, and it is a wonderfully piano-based composition accompanied by some splendid moments of graphical excellence. There are a few scenes which were beautifully choreographed. They stayed with me long after the game had ended and embedded the themes of nature and freedom into the experience. It was a shame the game was so short. I think there could be plenty of opportunities to extend the journey, and perhaps some more scenes would have been nice. There are 10 scenes currently, and any of these can be repeated after the game. I did get stuck in one scene and was unable to continue. There is a skip level option which takes you to the next part, but I felt that I had missed some story plots doing so. I'm not sure if I was unlucky or this was a bug. Everything else seems stable and up to standard. There are 2 achievements at the moment, but the addition of more achievements would always be welcomed, so that there is more to do whilst on the journey. Deer Journey was an enjoyable experience, with some nice graphical touches and an immersion I wasn't expecting. Walking simulators are usually very linear, but this one felt more unrestricted and allowed some roaming and exploring to take place. The story wasn't as emotional as perhaps it could have been, but the excellent soundtrack did allow for some memorable moments. Deer Journey is a good example of a walking simulator with a heavy emphasis on nature, freedom and relaxation. The soundtrack is wonderful, and there are some memorable scenes within the short experience, but there were some odd design choices in places, and I think the story would be enhanced by some sort of narration. Due to its length, I would probably recommend getting this on sale, but it's certainly worth the journey and a pleasant way to spend an hour. Well, that's it for another review. My next review will be for Puzzledorf, a relaxing Sokoban puzzle game where you are tasked to push blocks into their correct positions. It's much harder than it looks and my brain hurts. If you're interested in that, please click the notification bell and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks, and see you soon.